102K BTC, a slight sell-off, and to say we called it, I think we did. That little move to the downside. Now it's all about the alts again. Is it time for more alt pumpage, or is it time for alts to consolidate a bit and give us some absolutely banging entries? Now we've had the good China news come out, and I'm going to show you guys today a nice trading plan that I'm looking at following to take the most advantage of the current situation. So we got so much to talk about. Let's get right into it. And of course, remember, as always, hit the like, hit the bell, and hit the notification so you know that when we come live, there are going to be quite a few changes happening to this channel in the near future. So make sure you do have the notifications on, because you're going to get surprised with live trading coming out of nowhere for you guys at all sorts of strange hours. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Then we've got this man in the house, and I love bringing him in on a Monday. He brings his indicator vibes. He tells us if we're bearish, going to zero, or if we're bullish, going back to the moon. And I got a feeling he's a little bit bearish today. So we're going to talk about it. And then Captain Bullish is in the house. He was super bullish yesterday, though. He was even saying bullish. And how are you feeling today?
I was still bullish. A little bullish pullback, no problem. But it's moon time.
Okay, it's moon time for James. It's maybe some bear time for Chaos, and it's bullish for me, I guess. And let's start to take a look at Banter Bubbles whiff straight into the short zone. Chaos and I are talking about a short with you guys today on whiff. Maybe we're going to get a nice pullback if we do get one more push out of whiff. So that is on the table. I've got 𝗂 in front of me, guys. We had a nice breakout during the show on 𝗂. I want to get you fresh entries on this 𝗂 if they are going to give us another opportunity. And then we're talking Brett, funnily enough. That's rolled over a little bit today. And I've got a nice selection. I've also got Bonk for you guys. So there's lots to talk about here. And we might even have a short setup on 𝗏𝗏𝗟𝗏 as well. I mean, he's frantically nodding here in the back. There he is. Oh, is it time? Guys, is it time to be shorting, or should we just pump this shit up? Shall we continue to long the top? Let me know in the chats how you guys are feeling. Do you want to long the top some more and possibly get rinsed, or do we want to wait for some of these pullbacks? So I'm very excited to see what you guys have to say here in the comments. And I see Tiber says we're going to zero, or what now? Not zero, bro. We're going to a bullish pullback, I think, is going to be the main one we want to see. Okay, let's talk BTC, and fuck me. Let's get the chart out. I mean, this was absolute perfection, okay? And we were talking about a bearish wedge, and I said to you guys, these things tend to play out to the downside more often than not. I don't know what the stats are, but if you look at it, it's probably 60 to 70% of the time you see a wedge like this, it tends to drop to the downside before there is another move to the upside. And this was our game plan in the Hacker Zoom last night. I said, look for a pump up, and then we want to come down potentially. And on the show, I said, if we lose this wedge, well, we are going to be pushing this 100K region on BTC. So right now, they've played it basically by the book. They gave us a stop hunt there. They took out the liquidity, got everyone happy and excited, and then a monster rejection here on BTC earlier today. So yeah, typical market maker gains. I can't say we were surprised that this played out. And now we are looking for some interesting zones. What do we do next? Where do we get possible bounces? So right now for me on BTC, we can see we are floating around a horizontal region. So this is typically a zone where you can get a little bit of traction here, maybe a short-term bounce. But for me, looking at what we've just lost now, and that is this rising trend, I'm looking for some kind of bearish bounce here on BTC, and then possibly some levels lower down. So for me, based on how this has played out so far, phase 1 is complete. Phase 2 now would be a slight pump for me, and then a drop back into this 101 region. Now, the reason I like this guy, I've got a banger VWAP here as well. I've got my 382, so 101 is starting to look very interesting to me in terms of our next bounce zone. Now, a little bit lower down, I don't want to go there, but 99.5 is on the table for us. But I think for today, this is what we need to worry about, that 101 region. That makes a lot of sense to me. Now, typically, if you do get a little bounce off these areas, you start a downtrend. So you might start picking something up like that, where you get these little bounces into these zones. And then at some point, this trend is going to break, hopefully, or alternatively, they send the trend a little bit lower and you try it again. So that is really where we are right right now. It seems to be that we are now going to be in a short-term downtrend while everything just gets a little bit of composure, and maybe we take out some late longs and things like that in the market. Okay, so that's where we are with BTC. Your high that you're going to watch is 105,800. That is the wick high. If they do push you hard, don't fall into a trap. That could be a nice short opportunity up there again as well for you on BTC. So just look out for that wick fill later on. We do know they love coming back to fill those wicks. Now, in terms of liquidations, well, you can see here we've taken out quite a bit to the top, but a lot of the juice on the 1 week is moving down now. Look at that. Look at all the stuff here. 101,500, nice and yellow for us. 99K looking good as well. Anything down to 93. It looks like a lot of fun can be had to the downside on some bearish headlines if they are going to give it to us. Okay, so you're getting the picture. You kind of see already the thought process here as to what is going on. And now, how does all of this translate into altcoins? Well, this is why you're here, guys, and this is why I brought Chaos as well. And we're going to give you some proper entries here. We're going to give you some proper setups. Okay, buying everything what is more than 0.5. Ivan says hello, hacker. DGens, hello. All my hackers here. Pulling back finally, says PNG George. Look, sometimes it takes a bit of patience, guys. It really does. I see the guys are getting excited about a little bit of a sell-off. Yeah, I must say, these are the moments when I get really excited. I mean, we can trade these breakouts. We can have a lot of fun. But when I really get my pulse racing, that's when the market's turning red for me and giving us some entries lower down. I can't deny the sensations in my body when the market starts falling over. Now, let's see what's going on here. We had Bitcoin last week. And we had Bitcoin this week. I must say, it's looking a lot better this week. Things are definitely looking a little purer at the moment. And I see Fahad in the chat says, every time memes pump, we are doomed. And I did notice, we saw the memes, they pump. But now, what happened to things like XRP? I saw Cardano started pumping. Are these dinos coming back into play? Chaos, have you spotted any of these dinos moving here for us? Okay, he's nodding his head frantically as well. So he might have a couple of dino plays for us. Hello, Mark. Hello, sir. And Mark is saying, smash the likes, hackers. Okay, let's go. What else do we have here? We've got all the bears that got taken out in the last couple of hours. There's one of the bears there. He's not feeling happy at the moment, not loving life. And he's just not proud that he went too short, too hard. But maybe he went too short, too early. But look at this. 24-hour rec liquidations. 500 million, James. Not rookie numbers anymore. This is the good shit now. This is the good stuff. And this stuff keeps going up. The more crazy things get and the more choppy things get. And this is literally a symptom of people not knowing what to do now. And, you get into these zones and you're saying, it must be another breakout, but maybe it can roll over. And then you say, okay, I'm going to trade the breakout. And what happens? It starts rolling over. Then you panic close the breakout. Then the rollover starts bouncing. Then you get chopped up both ways. Who's feeling that right now? Okay, anybody feeling that right now? Because this is the phase we are in the market. And this is why it's $500 million wrecked at the moment. And things haven't even moved that much. Okay, so if that is a lesson for anybody, it is. In these situations, dial it down a little bit. We've had beautiful moves in the market. Now you're feeling a little bit uncertain. You caught a few breakouts. It was going well. Now you've tried one or two. They failed. Maybe you got chopped up. What is that a sign for? It says dial it down now. Now we dial it down and we wait patiently, or we sit in a couple of head shorts and we let the market tell us what is going to come next. Okay. And KG says, Sol just done that to me now. Yeah, guys, it's tricky. It was never going to be easy, guys. Bull market trading is a whole beast on its own. I can tell you that much. It's a whole new animal. Okay. Let's go. This little comment here was Nasdaq soars on the US-China trade deal news and is on track to close above the 200-day MA moving average for the first time. Now, these TradFi guys love the 200-day moving average. So that is why it's coming into play. And this should, in theory, be pretty bullish for the markets. Now, what is the latest news? US cuts tariffs on Chinese goods from 145 to 30% for 90 days. So a 90-day pause. China went 195 to 10 for 90 days. Okay, I can't imagine what that is doing to the order books and everything going on in the background there. Everybody must be stressing and panicking and who knows what's going on. But I think that should be bullish for the market. And is it fair to say that the market kind of made that assumption leading into the end of this weekend that there was going to be some kind of result, some kind of news? So we haven't seen an absolute guard candle just yet out of the S&P, but anything can transpire, anything can still come up today. So interesting to me, guys, this 200-day moving average, this blue line on the S&P, we are finally above that. This should be considered pretty bullish now. So if we do get a little dip here, we could probably start looking for longs on this S&P, and then we want to start taking out all-time highs. So for me, all-time high 6150 makes sense to me. And then in terms of support, we're going to play around this 5650 region for that S&P. So let things breathe a little bit, but a good start above that 200-day MA. That's always a lovely thing to see when we get ahead of it. Rob says it's now adrenaline instead of stress. And what does 𝗔𝗆𝗟𝗏 says, I've passed the Bitfunder challenge. Congrats. Waiting to have more clear ideas to start the second challenge. Well, I must tell you, that went really well for me, and I enjoyed the slowness of the Bitfunder challenge because it really makes you think about your trading, and it really makes you use high percentage trades. And when I passed these challenges, I did it over probably 10 days because you really got to wait for that high conviction trade. And what I used was the 2-hour and 4-hour reversal prints on my oscillators, and then I went in hard on some of those. And I have promised everybody that is doing my latest accelerator school, I've promised that at workshop 2, I'm going to teach you that Bitfunder strategy in full. So make sure you have done the school and you are signed up for workshop number 2, because that is where I'm going to show you how I passed the Bitfunder challenge, and I'm going to show you how easy it can be to pass it. So make sure you are signed up. And remember, guys, everything I talk about is under the link in the show description. Just click on more and you'll find the trading accelerator all there for you. Everything is there. The whole shopping list is there waiting for you guys. Okay, so if you're wondering where the links are, that is where we have hidden them. Okay, this is falling over nicely. This is lovely. This is lovely at the moment. Okay, now let's talk, we cover the S&P. Okay, let's talk a couple of things. Now, Trump raises tariffs, yields rise because inflation is back. Trump cuts tariffs, yields rise because growth is back. Trump does nothing, yields rise because the Fed won't cut rates. Today, the bond market becomes Trump and Bessent's top priority. James, what happens next, bro? Are we back to no one knows what the fuck's going on?
I have a feeling bonds go up. That's the only answer here. They go up no matter what happens.
Okay, and then we're in the cycle again where we were previously. Okay, so it feels like a full round trip into where we were. I mean, okay, well, let's see how that plays out, guys. What I want to look at here is Microsoft. There's a little bit of news on Microsoft, and it's one of the better performers over the last while. You can see on the most recent earnings, this thing gapped up. And we had a beautiful gap up, and I am expecting this gap to get filled at some point. And I was looking at this Microsoft chart, umming and ahhing, saying, should I short this thing on BTCC? So I just went back in time, and I said, every time I saw a red reversal dot, what happened to Microsoft? So I went down there on 24th of January, and there was a red reversal dot there, and it fell over. Then I went to 9th of December, I saw a red reversal dot there, and it went up a little bit, and then it fell over. So that's pretty good information. Then I saw a reversal dot over here on the 30th of October, and it dropped to the downside. Okay, so there's enough evidence here telling us that when we see these reversal prints, the odds are in our favor that you might get a reversal. So if the market does not enjoy the current Chinese news as much as it should, there is a possibility that Microsoft could start rolling over. Okay, so with that in mind, I can see two areas where Microsoft could push into. The first one is danger zone number 1, where we are, so anything up to 453, and then the next one is danger zone 2, anything up to 468. Those are the two danger zones to the upside. So what I'd like to see ideally is some kind of laddered in short entry. So I'm going to take a entry here in this region. Then I'm going to add a little bit higher up at 458, and then I'm going to have an order waiting at 468. So if we can pick up 3 orders there, bang, 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 and then maybe this thing comes and starts rolling over for us. So let's put in the first order now on BTCC. So let's go to BTCC. You can see I'm long gold. I'm going to talk about that as well. Remember, we want to be long gold in case the market's going to fall over, or if the market's pumping, you can generally let gold fall over a little bit there for you. So now let's get out our Microsoft. Let's get the ticker right, MSFT. There it is. Okay, we're gonna do 3 orders on Microsoft. So I'm gonna start with 1 here, open short. Okay, there's 1 order plugged in there. Then our next order, let's just pull it up quickly. Where is this thing? The next order can be at 454. So we're going to do another one there at 454. So I'm going to go limit order, price 454. I'm going to add an order there. Okay, there we go. 454 is locked in. And then we're going to do one more order if it pumps again at, let's go at 464. Okay, 464. Okay, so there we built some orders. Now, if those orders start picking up, and then we do start rolling over, we now in a short position, and then we can start adding to that position on the way down. Okay, so that's my game plan there. There's the orders set up and ready to go on BTCC there for us. Remember, you can trade stocks here. You just send crypto, USDT, or you can send any crypto, and then you convert, and then you can trade these stocks. And you can see I'm long gold at the moment. Let's talk why. So gold basically moved into my first area. So I said to you guys, there were two reasons or two areas I'm looking at. If crypto is bullish and if the US market is bullish, I'm expecting gold to start drifting lower. And that is exactly what it's now done. And it's dropped into the first potential bounce zone for me. So you can see it is trying to hold some support here in that region. And this makes sense to me that we could start bouncing a little bit on gold. Not sure how high, but looking for a move to the upside there. So I've jumped in. And then the backup zone, gold traders that I like 3,160 down to this 3,140 makes a lot of sense to me as well. Okay, so those are the gold plans that I've got going on. And for me, gold, I'll probably exit if we start closing under this guy here. And that is 3,000, call it 3,200. It's probably a good cut area there to start closing some of the gold. Okay, so there we go. There's the full bag on BTCC at the moment. Now let's talk BTC higher time frames. Very interesting things going on here. And Ollie, I've got Casper for you, sir. It is coming. And very interesting things going on here. My gut tells me we need to take out this all-time high this week. But it also tells me that there is a certain way we could do it realistically without getting bearish. So that would be by taking out some of these candles lower down and just dropping into a nice area and then sending it back up. So I'm not against Bitcoin dropping to at least say 98K to about 100K. Anywhere in that region can be super bullish for us there, and that'll clean out a lot of that candle and then maybe give us a nice ramp up come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday into the weekend, maybe some all-time high action for us. So the ultimate target for me that I do want to see before a massive sell-off is this 106 to 109 region, all-time high. How do we get there? For me, I'd love to see it down there, and that is kind of what I'm trying to plan for at the moment. Gintera says 96.8. Where's your 96.8? Yeah, there it is there. Okay, and that's also a level that you guys can watch. But you can see my thought process behind this. You can see my thinking behind it. If you disagree, let me know in the chats. I'm keen to see your views. If you think it's going to go higher, just tell me why in the chats, and let's see. But that is currently what I'm looking at. And then also, I just want to point out there is some bearish divergence starting now on the daily. And again, the divergence doesn't have to play out every time, but I'm just highlighting it that it is here. We've printed a lower high on the oscillator with double reversal prints, and we have printed new highs on BTC. So sometimes that tells us it's time for a little rest, okay? And Iman says, I need to long. Shorts are getting rinsed. And PMG George is talking about Dino coins. I'm assuming that's Ethereum Classic, BCH, Cardano. Would Doge even be one of those things? I wonder if Doge would want to be one of those. MW's got some Fartcoin action. Luke wants Brett. Luke, I've got Brett for you. It's coming in hot. And Chaos has also got some absolute bangers for you guys. Now, let's talk altcoins, and let's start with this. We use this really nicely. So at the moment, you can see we're still pretty hot. There's a couple right at the top here. 𝗏 that is very shortable, and you can see it's rejected already. There's something called 𝗏𝗰𝗵𝗏. Baby Siren looks dodgy. Okay, if anyone can find Siren on their chart, probably worth a look for a short on that guy. And then you've got Slurf, you've got 𝗔𝗣𝗣𝗏. All of these are in danger zones now, overbought territory, and often things tend to slow down in those regions. So just pay attention to your tokens if they are getting a little bit hot there, and that is probably why. Now, another thing we can use, or another clue for us as to what happens next in the market, is market danger bounce zone that I've marked here. This is USDT dominance, and you can see at the moment it is teeing up for a reversal of sorts. Now, I covered this briefly yesterday, and the last time we saw that reversal, we did have a further dip before we got the bounce. Okay, so it is possible that more money flows back into the market first, but I am just pointing out reversal sign, overbought sign. We could be near a point where this thing starts reversing higher, and that is obviously going to put the market as a whole under pressure. So just keep your eyes on that thing. It is notable for us. And then today, dominance playing the game like really nicely at the moment, and you can see you're getting rewarded in your altcoins, but we are moving to a sign or to a place where we could be getting a reversal on Bitcoin dominance. And these reversals generally take place on high impact zones. They generally take place where you've got major horizontal levels that can come and back it up. And right now you can see this dominance is busy pushing down into this thick region over here. So if there is one more dump for me on dominance, I would say be very careful here on these altcoins. This final push could be a stop hunt to the upside to grab some late longs, grab some stops out of the shorters, and then maybe send it down. So just look out for a bounce here and quite a strong pump out of BTC out of that level. Okay, so danger zone coming in, guys, 62.2%. And if it bounces off there, watch your altcoins. Make sure you have set up on these alts ready to go. And that's where we are going to help you today in case this does start playing out. Now, ETH surpassed Coca-Cola and Alibaba to become the 34th largest asset by market cap. I can't believe it. We're talking about these things again with ETH. I mean, can we call it a shitcoin now?
I mean, it was bound to happen at some point. But yeah, it was such a shitcoin for so long, it doesn't deserve recognition anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, here it is doing things, okay? And open interest is up 40% over the last few days, okay? Lots of leverage longs. Spot volumes jumped from $4 to $6 billion a day to $15 to $18 billion, okay? That's real money moving in. Funding rates from 0.005 to 0.03. Bullish skew as traders increase the premium to be long. 85 million short liquidations the last few days. Everyone who was shorting ETH in pair trades getting wrecked. So that's kind of bullish, I suppose. You know, if you read that, AIXBT had a couple of comments there as well on ETH. And let's just take a look at the situation. So after all that pumpage on ETH, we still haven't hit the 200-day MA. Now, we know we've hit the 200 on many altcoins, many altcoins, and I'm going to show you them today. But ETH still hasn't pinged that 200-day moving average. So that target, 2750, must be on the board at some point. I do believe we are going to see that thing. But in terms of the higher time frame, we are under a major region here and a rejection zone. So how do we play it now? Like, how do we find a new clean entry, like a non-degen risk-free entry? And that is why I'm bringing on Chaos here as well, because all I'm seeing when I open up ETH on the 4-hour is like bearish shit at the moment. And I've got double spider webs here on my oscillator, which means it's printed double bearish divergence. It's printed overbought. It's a reversal sign. It's a VWAP reversal. The cash flow is turning down. The volume is trending a little bit lower as well. And I'm not liking the look of this thing in terms of aping in for longs just yet. I almost want to see a reset to the downside. So the Alchemist, sir.
Hello.
What do you have for me, sir?
Hello. How are we doing?
Bullish.
No. Well, I'll show you, but I'm not going to show you on ETH. When you're ready, I'll show you on WIF because I've really dialed in on that. But what I will say is these tokens that look like they're coming down, they're looking like crap that for all the reasons that you just said. Guys, don't just ape in. Let's look at the lower time frames together and actually pinpoint an entry and make you the maximum money. Don't just ape into this stuff. And I'll show you.
Do you want me to pull up your chart here?
Yeah, do you want to do WIF? Can we do WIF first?
Well, so you don't have a view on ETH yet?
I've got a view on ETH, and my view on ETH is as follows. We have very nicely in Discord, in the chart hackers, on the daily, we've been in ETH since here, which is rather nice because we got as much as a 70% move, which is lovely. At this point, sorry, I don't know if my screen was showing there. Sorry, did you get that? So we've been in since... Right, there we go. So we've been in since here, since essentially the discount zone, and we've made our way up here. So it's been really nice. At this point, ETH is obviously hitting the point of equilibrium. These support and resistance bands that I drew on quite some time ago, and you can see why we've got them from previous zones where we've had candles pinging the areas. we're getting very, very close. We passed straight through the yellow. This is a traffic light system, right up to the green. And actually, we didn't quite ping it yet. I've got a feeling that we might see, just like we do on the downside, Dylan. If you remember, we make our way down on the RSIs, and sometimes we get one further dip. Okay. What I'm thinking we might see on ETH is we've made our way up. We've got the overbought signs. However, if you just take one look at this cash flow, we've been red for so long, and now we're green. And I think what you might actually see is a full start in the other direction. And when we cross over from this whole long period of red to green, what you can essentially get is some real big moves. So at this point, it does look like it needs to reset. But what I think might happen is we might meet the quantum reactor, which is this line here. We might cross into the area of equilibrium. We might hit this resistance zone. And I think actually the region of somewhere around 2700 or 2720, shall we say, for me, is a good point to reject from. And then we can start to potentially lose some of the levels. And if we make our way back down into this green box, which begins at 2400, this will be a great entry point for the next leg. And that's what I'm seeing.
Okay. Well, I mean, funnily enough, these things are looking much alike at the moment. So this is the good news. There's a lot of confluence here with what we're planning at the moment. So option one for me, guys, anyone in ETH at the moment, option one is we pump into the 200-day moving average, 2,700. You heard Chaos talking about a quantum reactor there as well. That is option one, okay? That could be a rejection zone and a possible bull zone for a trade later on. So we'll have to see how it goes in that region. But in terms of hunting for shorts, you can fiddle around here. If you get a pump into that zone, that's an add zone for a possible short. And the plan is to let this play out. You're probably going to find that you get bearish divergence. So you're going to see that lower high on the oscillator and a higher high on price. And then that should trigger ETH dropping a little bit lower. So that's the ideal situation if it pumps again. If the market starts pushing over today and doesn't pump again and just starts settling over the next few hours, the most obvious play for me where you want to sniff around, guys, 2,330. That makes sense for me in that region. And then a little bit lower, 2,150 makes sense for me over there. Okay, so the ETH play longs, 2,330. 2,150 for now. That looks reasonable if it falls over from here. If it pumps, shorts at 2.7 makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, you guys got it? Comprende? You're picking up what we're putting down. I hope you understand those things. We're going to drop both those ETH charts for you in Chart Hackers. They'll be available there for you guys. And I see Maruk is calling Pi bouncing off the hacker zone. Okay, we might have a crack at that one. We might have a crack, Maruk. Okay, let's see what else we got. Sol is also on Chaos's radar at the moment. Sol down 42% from all-time highs. TVL is down 22. TVL is the same now as it was when Sol was 41% higher. What does it mean? User and capital retention. Sol may be undervalued versus fundamentals. Okay, fair argument there. And then another note, FTX Alameda has unstaked another 187,000 Sol versus 32. So they might be selling. I think that could be a little bit bearish. It's not a massive amount, but it is something to take note of. So in terms of the higher time frame, guys, no changes here. This was my final big rejection zone for Sol, and you can see it's pinging that 180 200-day moving average there, and so far so good. So far a nice rejection. In terms of the oscillator, it does want to go a little bit more. Okay, so we can see this thing isn't reversing yet. So that tells me there could be another move in Sol, but it doesn't mean it can't have a short-term little pullback. It could be 5%, it could be 8%, and still push up to those types of levels. So just opening the eyes on the bigger picture and the big context. And then in terms of the smaller stuff for you guys, I'm looking at Sol on the 4 hour, and you can see this was our game plan, dropping Sol into that region, looking for some kind of consolidation, and then ultimately falling over. So right now we can see similar to what Bitcoin has, we do have a wedge pushing to the upside, and these things, like we said before, sometimes they can obviously break to the upside, but if you look at it statistically, you're probably going to get a 60 to 70% where it actually breaks to the downside, and that is what we're kind of looking at, and that is what I was using on BTC for you guys. So in terms of where Sol can go now, well, noting that on the 4 hour we're getting spider webs, things are turning a little bit bearish for us, that could tell us that if we start losing this rising wedge, we need to start watching areas slightly lower down. And that for me, guys, is anything from 165 to 156. This ties in really nicely with quite a big weekly level as well in that 160 region. Let's just highlight that for you there. It's this cluster of candles. Look at that. There's a lot of action here in that zone in terms of dailies at around 160 to this 158 level. And that takes us anywhere in this lower box. So anywhere down there would be comfortable for me in terms of round 2 on Solana. Don't really want to go much lower than, say, 150. But for me, anywhere in this region would make sense for the next push for Sol. And I think the next push for Sol is probably the 205 region, somewhere up there. And if things get really aggressive, maybe 220, things like that. Okay, but that is kind of my bull plan for Sol right now. And then obviously we can be faced with a situation, Chaos, and I'm sure you agree, that there is a potential for a breakout trade. So if the market turns super bullish again and the reversals aren't ready and they want to pump this market up some more, you need to know how to move with the times or move with the market. And if the market is going to give you a breakout trade, well, you need to have some kind of plan as to how you go about it. So one of the plans could be to be in chart hackers, because I've got the break shake and I've got the muscles, emu and panda in there dropping out breakouts all day long. They're going crazy out there. Or alternatively, you can obviously figure these things out yourself. But essentially, the principle behind this thing, and I want to draw a picture for you guys, is that if you are going to get a breakout, you generally find your token starts pushing through a horizontal region, and you're going to see it sticking its head out of that zone. So what I typically like to do is when I see pressure like that, I start a small position just to see what happens, and then sometimes it pops through the upside, and then typically you get a rejection. Now, when you get the rejection, your job as the trader or as the bull wants to make sure this thing is going to hold at least a 382 on any comeback. So you're going to take your local 382 and you're going to look for buys back on the 382. So you're going to nibble here if it breaks, then you get the pop, then you get the dip back, and then you look for those buys in that area to add to your position, and that hopefully sends you on your way, okay, in a perfect world, and that should get you going then for a breakout trade. And I typically like to put my stop under the breakout trade below that. If it closes below that, you kind of want to exit, or you can use the previous low. So in this example, the previous low would be that guy at 172, for example. Okay, so that's for the degens out there that want to play breakout plays and things like that. That is pretty much the safest way that I can give it to you in terms of those setups. Okay, and Dylan's beard says it's pandemonium in hackers. Look, the guy's crazy. He's a little bit mentally disturbed. And it's also Cole's fault. I've heard it's all Cole's fault as well, but Panda is mostly mentally disturbed, and he's perfect for breakout trading. So that is good stuff that he's doing. Okay, let's talk a couple of things going on here on my side. Bitcoin, I'm short. Added a bit more to that over the last few hours. Just added bits. It's now $135,000 short. I've got Sol short from the other day, 50K short. I've got Link short for 45K short at the moment. I've got Link long, 130,000 long. Bonk short, 30,000. That's from earlier today. Virtual still holding on that. That's the moonshot for me. And then this gun, I think it's banana gun or something, maybe a short play. I've got to order higher up to hopefully catch that one. Okay, so that is kind of where I'm waiting at the moment on that trading account, looking for things to the downside. So the first one I think that's relevant to us is Link, because we've been trading this thing, since the cows came home, and here we are again looking at Link. So rejection for me, 200-day MA, lots in the way here. Look at that, tons in the way, and looking very similar to a lot of these other alts. We've got this rising wedge over here. When does the wedge break, or does this wedge carry on and just explode and take us to another level? So for me, I'm leaning towards a dip on Link. I'm leaning towards a move lower down. And where do I want to see it? So typically for me, I just like to attack the 382 regions typically, and maybe a 618 if we are going to go that low. Let's just see where our 618 is here. Bang. Okay, that's quite nice. So two interesting zones for us on Link. This is obviously the big one. 15 makes a lot of sense to me, and 16 makes sense to me. 15 and 16 for now on Link makes sense. And look at our oscillator, blue reversal dot, VWAP reversal, double spider webs here, overbought. divergence. Okay, it's getting tired there. It's getting very tired, wanting to push down at the moment. So watching this carefully as it starts slowing down. I'm paying attention to this and looking for a move lower on links still. And we'll close the short while we drop into those zones, and that will be where I add to those longs, because I am ultimately still bullish and I would like to see bigger things on link. And in terms of bigger targets, well, we can just highlight them here for you guys. There's another one at 19, nice little area there for link. Then you've got another one higher up as well, sitting at 22. So there are some big targets here. If we can just manage this trade and play it smartly, we can load up again on this thing. So between 16 and 15 is the load up zone for me. Yes, sir.
Just something to mention today. There's a big meeting with the new SEC chair. He's meeting with the crypto roundtable, and BlackRock and some of the other big players are going. They're all going to talk about tokenization of real world assets. So good tokens to keep an eye on. Link falls in that category. Just saying, it's a good one to try and get an entry on here when we do pull back.
Okay, guys. Yeah, Link's a runner, and it runs with RWAs, and obviously Ondo. We can play those games as well. Okay, so I'm going to pull up some Ondo as well for you guys, but you get the picture on Link. These are the big ones for me. You can see I've got VWAP support as well. So 16 to 15, guys, really makes the most sense here for zone number 2. Let's just let this thing get away. This is irritating. We don't want to see this. We want this thing to start normalizing. Okay, come down here, even if it reverses early, just give us something, clear out that filth. I don't want to see those spider webs there. Not a good look for us. Okay, let's go Chaos.
You've got some little bit of support on Link, which will really help if you want, very quickly.
Yes.
If you want to just bring the screen up super quick. I'll keep this very. Two things. Number one, cash flow is coming down on Link, okay? But number two, I'm just going to really take you in close to these Keltner channels, guys. You see in here, these are colored, right? Obviously, you got darker greens corresponds to a push up, yeah? Darker red is corresponding to a push down, and then you get the darker greens, and then it pushes up all the way through the price action. Look what we've got right now. The green has actually faded out to nothing. The bulls, since this candle, have pretty much, apart from maybe here, which is this one wick, run out of source. What's happening is the bears are stepping in so hard now. Fair play. Price is maintaining this. Well, it's still a 7% range, but what you're seeing is these are thick red. If you zoom in on the 3 hour and perhaps a little bit lower, you can actually see these orders are solid bear orders. There's no green to be seen here, and as a result, these things can lag slightly. What you'll start to see is a dip into the order block, another test of this level here, and then a dip down, and then a test of the order block, and then a dip down into the next order block again. So what we're hoping to see is that is the higher high, and then we start to make a series of lower highs and lows. So I just wanted to show you that one highlight, Dylan. This speaks a whole story on its own. The fact this is thick red, you should expect to come down as time goes on.
Is that called the Batwing? What do we call that?
You can call it whatever you like. It's the sick, disgusting, legendary indicator. That's what it is.
Okay, there you go, guys. It's the Batwing. Okay, there you go. So you get the story. Let's move on to another popular one that everybody likes is Sui, obviously. And now we've been talking about this one at length. I'm still sitting in a Sui short. And these were the 3 zones we spoke about for Sui. There were 3 big zones. Okay, the first one was 3.97. Let's just take that one out. The next big reaction zone for Sui was 4.25. Look at that, straight into 4.25 and 2 rejections. So I'm pretty confident now on that one as our high marker. And then we've got our next big zone here, 4.58. Okay, so they've come into play for us. Let's talk oscillators on the daily. You can see the daily is going to print bearish divergence. We know that. Let's look at the 8 hour here for us. Let's see what we're going to get. 8 hours on its way down. Okay, cash flow is coming down. Reversal prints here as well. So, for me, I'm looking at this. I'm not confident longing off this horizontal support. I kind of want to see it go a little bit lower down. So where is that for me in terms of Sui? Well, number one, let's just highlight. Oh, I've lost my foot. Hold on. There it is. Okay. Let's get on our 0.5 here. Okay, we want to bang out our 0.5. there. Okay, we want to see what that's tying into, and do we have some 𝗕𝗏𝗡𝗃 in the area there? Okay, so for me, 3.7, that would be a nice little stop hunt. That would be a nice little dip. 3.7 makes sense to me here for 𝗬𝗏. 3.7, watch that one, guys. Then I would say your next one would be a dip into 3.66, 3.56 as your next potential zone. Okay, so I'm not proper happy with 𝗬𝗏 there. I would love to see it just dip here into that zone, and then we'll see what kind of bounce we get out of that. Probably something like that, ideally, to suit our bearish bias that we seem to have at the moment, sending everybody to hell. But yeah, guys, that is what I'm seeing there for 𝗬𝗏. So a nice dip into 369 makes sense to me. You do have horizontal support at 3.89. We can't deny that there is support there. So the DGens in you, if you want to give it a go, I can highlight it here, and you can use this as your support level. Let's just mark that. You can see every time it drops into that zone, you do get some kind of bounce out of it. So call it a sketchy long zone. Okay, sketchy long zone there on 𝗬𝗏, 3.86. Sketchy long zone. Okay, I'll drop the sketchy long zone for you in chart hackers. Ideally for me, down here. Okay, a little bit lower. But I mean, it depends how much leverage you guys are using and things like that. It might even not be a massive move. I mean, the difference is 5%. Up to you guys, okay, how you want to play that. And then upside targets, guys, 4.5 for me so far on 𝗬𝗏 for the next major rejection zone. Okay, anything else to add here on 𝗬𝗏, sir?
No. However,
nothing else you're adding.
I've got a pump for you.
A pump?
A pump. Something's just started pumping less than a minute
ago.
Okay,
what are we longing?
It's 𝗏. Take a look at 𝗏.
Fuck right off. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so very, very quickly, I was going to start off by showing you guys the 12 hour of 𝗏 hitting a huge zone, okay, which is obviously here. We had a brilliant buy, which made a ton of money. We hit the order block. We've goosenecked out, for want of a more technical word. At the top, we're starting to face down. And then I was going to say to you guys, before you ape into your shorts, bring up a much lower time frame, like the 15-minute. One candle ago, which was 4 minutes now, which is this candle, you see this green volume that's pumping in. I just spoke to you about it on the previous token, right? Straight away, this has gone green. Before, look, here you go, it's printing as we speak, it's going up. So what we're looking for, guys, this 𝗏 short that I want to give you again in a minute, you are going to absolutely pinpoint your entry. Don't long it, because you're going to just get that, and then it's going to carry on. But what we're now going to do is we're now going to get set up for an absolutely banger short. Okay, so we had a long, it pushed up. There's our short print. The candles went pink and the candles went red, and we had a lovely little short playing out. Now what's happened is, just when I started to say to Dylan before, we've got a pump, this printed, and now this is printing as we speak. So what we're looking for, Dill, is this short, which we know that we've had a great move. We've pushed up, the candles are green. We've got an indecision wick. We've hit the order block. We've collected some liquidity. This is a high. We're overbought. We're now facing down. We've just got to watch what happens here. What we're looking for now is that. And this is going to be where we make our move. So on 𝗏, keep watching the 15-minute, guys. Keep watching for volume coming in. Keep watching for the fact we've now broken out of this. Okay. And watch this. If it retests and carries on, we're going to line up a short. Sorry to bring 𝗏 up so quick. I don't know what you think to 𝗏. What do you have?
Drew, 100% the same sentiment. It's a slightly different way I'm going about it, but basically you can see if you're jumping into a 𝗏 short here, it's too far gone. So what typically happens after a dump like that and after a wick like that, you get the opportunity for them to come back and fill that wick. So you can see if you're trying to short it now, you're already 11% in the red. It's not a good place to be, if you're trying to snipe a good entry. So what I would love to see here, and I don't know how well that ties in with chaos, but what I want to see is a push up to either take out this wick or one last aggressive move and tap that 200-day MA, which is quite annoying to me. And I know based on Link and Sol, we literally shorted the 200-day MA via limit orders on those two. And I suspect if 𝗏 pumps into that, we're going to get a hard rejection. So I'm looking for an extreme 1.47 push for WIF, and that will be a 200-day MA rejection. This ties in with this order block here as well, and we've got a fib in the way, and we got horizontal. So I'm very comfortable with this being a major resistance zone. So any pumps into that area, guys, I think laddering into some potential shorts there, and that could play out nicely over a few days. And then we're going to look at targets like 98, 72, those types of things. But let's get in control of the trade first. So it's going to be squeaky bum time in the beginning. When you're trying to load it up, you're going to stress. It might go red. You're going to add a few more. And then eventually when it starts working for you, then you are in control of the trade. Okay, so just get through the hard part. And Mia says Soul is also trying for a breakout at the moment. But guys, there's the summary for me and Chaos on a whiff situation. Looking for something like that in that area could play out for us there quite nicely. Now, in terms of LBank, I've got the 𝗬𝗎 short running, and I've got the Soul long running at the moment. No reason to close that yet. On more weakness on Soul, I will add to that one. Like I said, that initial move happened in the Asia pump, and I never got to add size to a lot of those positions. So I was a little bit salty about the situation, but it is what it is. I don't want to add when everything's just ripping, and I want to make sure I add strategically. So waiting patiently there on that Soul entry. Now, Hitesh says, just screen through the top 10 exchange reserves to find out the most accumulated alts in the past 7 days. ENA, Ondo, Virtual. Okay, that's interesting. I've got Virtual and Ondo here. So I thought, let's take a look at these two. Virtual still holding strong. Virtual still looking good for me, and tons of support here. And as you guys know, I'm still sitting in Virtual and looking for this thing to hopefully go higher. It's $28,000 in size now. So hopefully this is going to start compounding if it does start pushing higher. And my upside target, 2.43 and 2.63 for me on Virtual. That is where I want it to go. And as long as it floats up here, it's beautiful because it allows time for this VWAP to keep pushing higher. And we know with this VWAP in an order block and a 382 and horizontals, balance of probabilities, we're going to get a sharp move off that dip onto that VWAP. So I'm using support now for Virtual 185. Watch 185 as your support marker now. Look for a bounce there on Virtual. If we start closing underneath that, potentially a bit bearish again, guys, and we start a trend to the downside. So I really want to see a hit here to the downside and then a break through that structure and then start cooking on. So that's my game plan on Virtual. So looking for a small dip. Let's just see how big this dip could be. Roughly 7%. Okay, so not too bad, nothing too serious. Just don't get yourself rinsed in max leverage there, obviously. But yeah, that's the game plan. You've got the upside targets. I'm holding on to this Virtual. It's my moonshot, okay? I want the pullbacks to add, and we want to send this thing as high as possible. Now, another one is Virtual. And I'm not Virtual. Another one is Ondo. So RWA play, is this the next narrative that could potentially run? And James had some comments from BlackRock as well. And it could be something we need to pay attention to. But in terms of the raw daily chart in front of us, Ondo is at a danger zone. Okay, you can see we are at a major resistance band. We've got our 200-day MA. Where have you seen that before? Rejecting off at 200. 200-day MA, 786 fib, horizontals. There's a lot in the way here for Ondo. So the only opportunity here as a fresh trade is somebody who's going to be brave enough to take on a breakout play. So the breakout play, again, typically, guys, what you want to do is you want to wait for that candle to start pushing through. You can nibble a little bit. Once it pops higher, you're going to let it come back. You're going to drop into a 382, and you're going to look for buys there. So you're going to buy a little bit here, let it come back to you, buy a little bit more. If it's a true breakout, the bulls step in and people start buying it again and it starts cooking, okay? If it's not a true breakout, they bleed you back down and you're going to end up down here somewhere at 1 or at 94. Okay, so right now, massive resistance, 1.11. I'm eyeing out personally for me. I want to see this thing drift lower down. I want to see it drift into these horizontals here. Anywhere around 1 makes sense to me. First move around 1 on Ondo, and then next move for me on Ondo is going to be 93, 934. That makes sense to me for what I'm looking for there. And I'm going to try and get some kind of swing play here, and we can have multiple buys in this box all the way down, okay? And our assumption is it's going to hold the rising trend. If it closes the trend, we're going bearish and we fucked it up and we out, okay? It's basically that simple. And that with that information in front of us, that is how I'm going to try and base that trade, okay? Iman says, with 30% pump, asking for a short or let it go. I think we covered it. I think we covered it well in detail, Iman. I think you should be happy with what we spat out there. Let me see what else I got here, Chaos. 𝗬𝗃. Do you like 𝗬𝗃?
Love 𝗬𝗃.
I like it too. I think it's an absolute banger. Okay, it's a nice spot play always. This
It's a good money maker, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can predict it quite well.
So 𝗬𝗃, very clean on the chart. I'm looking at it on the daily. So guys, every Monday in Chart Hackers, I go through 23 to 25 high time frame charts and I map out important supports and important resistance zones. And if I see trade ideas, I drop them on those charts. So every Monday, it's quite a big day in Hackers in terms of the higher time frame charts. And I like to obviously bring some of them into the show afterwards and just show you what I've been working on. So 𝗬𝗃 is one of them. It's always an interesting one for me. And you can see there's a couple of things going on. We've got a nice rising trend here. It did accelerate a little bit quickly for me and no surprises here. Look what it's stuck on, the 200-day moving average. Okay, where have you seen that on every single altcoin basically out there at the moment? So my perfect situation, guys, is a bleed out back to 202. And it's not major support. It's a little bit sketchy, actually. We got a little bit of horizontal here. It's not my best. Okay, so 202. And then the real banger for me, guys, is 185 to 180. 185 to 180. And we can't complain. If they come back and take that all out, I don't think it's fair to be bitchy about it. I think it's fair. I mean, does it not move too fast then?
Looks good to me.
Do you like it when they take these candles out? Do you feel upset?
I have to be honest with you, when it comes to imbalances, I quite like them. They can be quite predictable, these imbalance candles. You know, they can come back and destroy you, but if you know what you're reading, you understand them, it can be a very clear point where you know where to actually set a take profit order, because they generally come and clean them out. Don't write off
a fast move down here. Okay, a little wipe out there, bang, and then you're still bullish. Like, it's actually still okay. And then this thing can go a little bit more. Okay, so that's for me for 𝗬𝗃. Upside 238, upside 290 makes sense to me there. Anyone trading 𝗬𝗃, it's a banger. I like that. I like that token. Okay, so there's our short plan. I'm going to get stuck into that one a little bit later on. Bonk, you saw our short bonk. So very similar reason. I noticed the fake out through the 200-day MA today. Little pump through there. I saw that rejection and made sense to me that maybe it was time to look at a hedge play on this thing. And you can see in this on this oscillator, bearish divergence has now printed. Again, doesn't mean it always plays out, but there are signs starting to develop that maybe we just need to be a little bit more cautious. So in this situation, when you see that type of information, if you are looking at trading breakouts still and you want to get aggressive and send things much higher, just maybe dial down the amount of size you're doing, maybe watch your stops a little bit and just play it a little bit safer than you were a couple of days ago, because there is a chance you can get chopped up again and you don't want to burn money. Okay, so for me, I'm inclined to sit back and wait. I'd love to see a red day. What is a red day? A red day could be a 5% move on the alts, could be a 10% move on the alts, but we know at some point we are going to get them. And if you look at these examples, after this beautiful pump to the upside, we did have a couple of days. They floated around, and then we had a beautiful red day and a half. Okay, and they dropped it by 3 red candles, bang, into a hot zone. Okay, and that is kind of, you know, what I'm leaning for at the moment. Let them chop around up here a little bit, then give us those 3 red days and give us a buy at 1955. That's where I'd love to see a little bit of bonkies there. 1955, rising trend, 618. Nice little bonk in the corner there with chaos. What do you think?
Thank you very much, sir. Look forward to it. Let's go.
Yes, a little bonk in the corner with chaos. Okay, Luke wants some Brett. Luke, bro. Okay, Brett. Another rejection off the 200-day MA. Okay, should I say no surprises, or do you think they know I'm going to say that?
I think they've got you now.
They know. Okay.
They've got it. They know.
No surprises, guys. So next play for me on Brett. We are in our DGen bounce zone. There it is. I even labeled it DGen bounce zone. So if you're mentally disturbed, you can pull out the 236 fib and you can use that as a possible bounce zone. This is the daily chart. Let's look at lower time frames. Still a bit bearish on the 4-hour, but it's close. Okay, it's close, Luke. It's coming. Look at that. We're nearly there. So this is exciting for something like Brett, because this allows you to play this bullish divergence. So for me, I'm going to leave Brett on the 4-hour. What do I want to see? I want to see this thing drop. Okay, pump a little bit higher, Then I want to print the higher low. Okay, just like we saw there, where we got the double divergence. If we can get that out of Brett, I think we're going to get a nice move. What would that look like, or what could that look like on the chart? Well, drop the 4 hour now. Okay, so lose this level here. Then you get the bounce, okay? And then that oscillator starts reversing and you get a lower low on the price, maybe somewhere there. And that's going to give you that double divergence on Brett. So I would say, Luke, 756, play around here if you're a little bit mad. And then the next one for me, 657. Okay, 657. Play that area there. That could be the divergence reversal. Remember, some of the best plays, guys, are when we're on a good zone where we get bullish or bearish divergence. Those give you, they're the money printers. Okay. And Kimmy loves a bit of Brett, I believe. She's all over that Brett at the moment. What else we got? The equalizer says, I submit. And he says, how to join Hackers. Bro, come to Hackers, the greatest fucking trading community you will ever experience. In fact, I don't even have to say anything. Hackers that are in the chat, tell the man what you think about Hackers and is it worth him coming? We'll let the community tell you what you can get out of Hackers there for you guys. Okay. Chaos, I want you to give your Tao short quite soon. I think we need to unload it.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said Bitcoin. So I've got an absolute beast to show you.
Okay. Send us to 0 on Bitensor. Just say it nicely in an English accent so I can just understand.
Let us head down to 0 together.
And then say the name of the token.
This is Bitensor or Tao.
Wonderful.
I really don't talk like this, by the way. Okay, let's go. All right, so exactly the same as the analysis I gave you on WIF before, I'm going to show you guys very quickly 2 charts. This is an overview, the 4 hour, okay? So we clearly have made our way up really nicely, an area of consolidation around the equilibrium, pushed up again, pinged the premium, which is great. The whole move, I mean, from further down, this is realistically a 200% move, which is awesome. What we're interested now is what's going to happen next. So we have got the spider webs again, and this is just a collection of divergences. We've got a cash flow that's peaked and is now heading down just a little bit. We've got an RSI, which did briefly come up and give us some green, and now it's red once again, just like back here. And that is the reason we have the divergence, because price went up and RSI went down. So before we dive too much deeper, we assume there is a short coming, but this is what I just wanted to take you guys from the 4 hour to the 15. I've purposely zoomed out so you can see the whole price action since 8th of May at 5 o'clock. So a few days worth of candles. We've obviously been in some sort of ascending channel, not the best channel, but broad enough to show you some wicks. Okay. What we've done is we've bounced from the bottom. Oops, hold on. We've bounced from the bottom of the channel each time to the top, to the bottom, to the top, and so on and so forth, all the way along. Now you can see we've just pinged the bottom. Not only that, everything's low and pointing upwards. What we now need to do is just zoom in. Okay, so this will take another 20 seconds and then I'm done. We're going to zoom in. We're going to look at this. We're going to look at the Keltner channel again. And we're just going to be cognizant of the following. If green starts to pile in and bullish volume comes into these candles and we press up, we will bounce off this one more time to pinpoint our short entry, and that will look something like so. And then we'll take our entry and then we'll start to gain levels to the downside on this short. Okay, and that's essentially what we're looking for. So just to summarize, take yourself down to the 15-minute, keep an eye on the candles. We can actually see that it's been red, it's come down, which equates to coming down through the channel. We're now at the bottom of the channel. We want some green to pile in here and make our way up. And when we get to the top, or somewhere near the top, we then take our entry on the short, absolutely pinpointed, and that will hopefully look like a trade that gives us an entry here, and we can start to target the order blocks 8%, 12%, and who knows, we've got these candles, and just like Dylan was saying before, these candles can go quite quickly right the way down for a 25% move. So we'll see what happens if we do claim this level. Guys, we're not even back at this level of equilibrium yet. Right, this is very feasible, and in bull markets you can get 10-15% moves. So this, to me, this is your move. Pinpoint your entry and take the short.
So the next push up, you're looking for the short.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. Okay, so I won't even show my chart. It looks equally filthy in terms of the 4 hour. It really wants to dump lower down. I do have some degen plays for you on 𝗂𝘃. Well, not quite a degen play, but I want to give you guys some degen on 𝗂𝘃. And you can see we broke out yesterday, and I told everyone just chill. We'll figure it out. Okay, so when something breaks a big zone, you can always come back later and start using that big zone as support. Okay, and I wrote here, nice confluence here, 200-day horizontals, 382. We know factually if it comes back into that zone, balance of probabilities, this is going to be a bounce zone for us on 𝗂𝘃. That's where they're going to put the brakes on if it starts falling over. So immediately I can see this double one is going to be support. So it's up to you guys how you want to play it. But for me personally, I'd leave this thing, let it do what it needs to do, let it fuck around in there a little bit. If it eventually drops into that zone, that is where I'm going to get super interested on 𝗂𝘃. Okay, so I'm going to set my alarm right now for this. And adding alert 11:11:35. Okay, is my alarm. If it pings that area, that's where I wake up. And by the time it hits that zone, I'm going to start looking for things on lower time frames like 4 hour reversals, 4 hour divergences. Right now, you can see it's very hot at the top. I want to see a reversal, even if it's midway to the bottom. I want to see stuff like that starting to develop for me there on 𝗂𝘃. If it's on that area, then I push buttons. Okay. 𝗂𝘃 fam, make some noise.
Juicy, extremely juicy.
Is that noisy enough? Is that noisy enough? Okay, so there you go. There's the 𝗂𝘃 plan, guys. Then AVAX, another one. I've got an entry for you. If there's a dip later today, guys, AVAX long, 23.5 down to 23.8. Looks like a nice long zone there for me. Could be a banger. Okay, so your risk would be about 3%, give or take. Look for that dip into that zone. Maybe you get a bounce. Okay, again, we're going to tie in that daily. The daily could be a story for us, but in terms of lower time frame, we just want to see this thing heading down. You can see it's looking a bit double toppy. We've got some more divergence here, sending it lower. Look at that. Okay, so oscillator lower, price going higher, and we just want to see that continue. And then we want to try and get an entry on AVAX somewhere in that region. Okay, so 23.3, 23.1, anywhere in that type of zone does make sense. How deep is that in terms of percentages? 6.9%, not bad. 2-3% Bitcoin, 6% on the alts. I think that's fairly reasonable. Okay, I'm going to drop the rest. The rest of these will be in chart hackers for you guys. We did so many setups today. Chart hackers on a Monday is actually crazy, the amount of setups that go down. And I was very impressed with our scalping team. I just kept getting pinged with fucking entries and TPs and entries and TPs. I couldn't even look at one point. I was like, no, these guys are properly mentally disturbed. Yeah. So it's going well. How's your day been in hackers? What are you up to in there, sir?
Playing with the 20% club, looking for some more entries. We have made some utterly banging trades. The account is up like 40-50%. We're in cash mostly at the moment. We're looking for the pullback to find some entries. I cannot tell you the amount of things I can't get on with in my life because I'm getting atted all the time as a scalper roll with an entry, with an exit, with a stop loss. This team are ridiculous. Like literally at any point in my day, I could just stop what I'm doing, get a trade, and then come back 4 hours later when I'm free and take another trade.
I can't even look at that shit anymore. It's just, there's just too many.
So
like I take
much.
Dave, sometimes I take James. I mean, sometimes I take Emu and Panda when I see it. But yeah, it's too much. There's too many trades. Okay.
There's too many trades. You're right.
Okay. Guys, thank you. Chaos, thank you, sir. James, thank you. See you later. Okay, guys, so Monday, kind of looking for a reddish Monday. It would be ideal. We've started. We've got a little bit of a move to the downside so far. Can they finish the job now leading into the rest of the day? Can they do the damage? Can they give us these alts on these levels lower down? So if they do, you've been given multiple areas where you can buy some of these alts now on weakness. If they start pumping it higher, hopefully I've explained it clearly enough on how to trade that breakout. You just want that to pop through there, you put your stop under the breakout candle, add on the pullback, and don't go too hard on breakouts. The risk reward on breakouts now at these hot stages in the market starts going lower and lower and lower, because remember, we're looking just for final little pops on these things. So just work out that risk reward when you are doing the calcs. And if you need more help with that stuff, obviously we talk about it in hackers all the time. For you guys, we can cover you there all day long. Okay, good luck out there, everybody. Tomorrow's another day. See you later.
Juicy, extremely juicy.